What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I want to talk to you guys about the interview that I just seen by Keith One Time Thurman. Mr. One Time, you know, of course, he's been in a MIA, but he did go on record saying a lot about certain fighters, and I want to talk to you guys about it. First off, he did give Errol Spence props. He says that Errol Spence calls himself the truth, but he can't call himself the truth until he fights him, you know. And he also added that Terence Crawford in the division, you know, fought Jeff Horn, and Jeff Horn, you know, he wasn't impressed. He just did what he needed to do. And if you put him or Errol Spence in the ring with Jeff Horn, they would make easy work of Jeff Horn, you know. I look at that, and I also let me finish what he said, and then I'll explain it all. He also said that he would like to fight the fighter, the winner out of Porter and Spence. You know, since Porter has stopped or has beaten Garcia. And he would like to either fight him, or Manny Pacquiao has mentioned that he would consider a fight with Keith One Time Thurman. So he would turn his attention to that, to be in there with a legend, you know. And of course, then he would want to make sure he's 100%. He don't want to go in there and risk it all if he's not at 100%. Okay. Now, let's go back to the beginning, you know, about Terence Crawford. You know, he mentions Terence Crawford because, you know, they think about Terence Crawford. They think Terence Crawford is somewhat untouchable, you know. And since I guess he is untouchable, I guess they feel it's relevant, or convenient rather, to just be popping shit. You know what I mean? To state all types of things, like he's not impressive, he's not this, he's not that, he's a pound-for-pound fighter, he's a pound-for-pound fighter, you know, above all you guys. Either him or Lomachenko, right? Either him or Loma are the best. So, but you say you weren't impressed with Jeff Horn, and I'll beat Jeff Horn, or me and my boy Errol Spence, you know, will beat Jeff Horn easily. First of all, Jeff Horn, let's talk about Jeff Horn. Jeff Horn fought his heart out when he fought Manny Pacquiao. And then you know, Manny Pacquiao has been diminished over the years. He's still a good fighter, but it shows that Manny Pacquiao is not the Pacquiao of old, obviously. Or Manny Pacquiao would have made quick work out of Jeff Horn, or just made it a lot easier than it was, you know. But understand, it wasn't just because Manny Pacquiao has missed a couple steps, okay? It was due to the fact that Jeff Horn does have an awkward style, you know, and he's a come-forward fighter, and he attacks in angles too, you know, and they're awkward angles. You know, it's hard to time Jeff Horn, okay? So it took Terence Crawford a while to adjust to that particular timing with Jeff Horn, you know what I mean? So he's an aggressive, awkward, like, you know, and he attacks in these weird angles, okay? He's that type of guy. So for them to say, oh, well, me and Errol Spence will make easy work of Jeff Horn, how do you know that? One thing about this channel, and one thing about me, okay? I don't believe in triangle theories. Everyone has to fight everyone. Then you can make a true assessment of who is better than who. You know, who can beat who at what time? Because timing is a bigger issue than anything else, too. You know, that's a very big issue. But him and his newfound buddy, Errol Spence, will make easy work out of him. You see how he's including Errol Spence? Well, me and Errol Spence like they're buddies all of a sudden. Look, let me tell you something. You know, Keith Thurman avoided that Errol Spence fight. He avoided that Errol Spence fight at first because he didn't want to fight Errol Spence, because Errol Spence was the new kid on the block who wanted to fight him. It was, you know, arguably so. I mean, I can understand why he didn't want to fight him. It was a high risk, low reward. I get that. And he wanted to fight the cash cow Mayweather, okay? You know, I explained that in my last video. But now he's your buddy. Now he's number 2. Now, so because I'm going to tell you why. The only reason Keith Thurman is buddy-buddy with Errol Spence now because he knows everyone's off his ass for fighting him right away. Okay? Because now that Porter has beat Garcia, now it's Porter's time to sit in the hot seat. It's his time to fry. Because now he has to face Errol Spence. Now he's cool with him. Now he's saying stuff like that. But in reality, Errol Spence hasn't done enough in the sport of boxing to even be claimed the quote-unquote boogeyman. Sure, he was avoided, but he's not avoided anymore. Pretty soon, you're going to have to fight him. Someone has to. And then, as of now, no one really has fought him. Garcia, Porter, Thurman, no one has fought Spence. So I don't see how Spence is relevant at all. Okay? The only thing Spence tried to do was fight Garcia and Mikey Garcia. And the only reason he wanted to fight Garcia because he needed a name. Okay? So back to Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman said that, and, he's never fought Terence Crawford because, they figure, well, we can talk about Terence Crawford all we want because we'll never fight him because he's on ESPN and we're not going over there. So we can talk and bring his name up and name drop his name all we want, including Errol Spence. He did that. I just finished a video about that. So, it's funny to me how the welterweight division is becoming. It's one thing to admit, sure, there's politics in the sport of boxing, but there's another thing to hide behind your politics and hide behind your promotional companies. You don't do that. You know what I mean? Like, a fight doesn't have to be super, just dumb, stupidly huge for it to happen. They happen. Okay? These fights happen. These promotional guys get together. Come on, Frank Warren got with Eddie Hearn today. This year, they're going to fight, Boo Boo Andrade is going to fight Billy Joe Saunders. And that's just not a super fight. You know what I'm saying? They could throw that fight together. ESPN could collaborate with Showtime or Fox or whatever and get those fights made. You know what I mean? And you know what? And as far as Jose Benavidez, yeah, he's good on the top rank side. And then Terence Crawford, he does have mandatories. So, yeah, they know that he can't fight them right now unless, a fight can be made, which I believe these guys having the pride or the persona or the ego that they have won't let that fight easily get made. And I don't think it would be Terence Crawford. I think Terence Crawford wants to do the same thing he did at 140. And have any of them did that? Keith Thurman was beginning to do that. He became all of a sudden full. He wasn't hungry no more. All right? He'd ate his lunch and he didn't want any more. He didn't want a dinner. He didn't want dessert. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I got an injury, this, that, and the other. You know what I'm saying? Well, whatever. But now he's just sitting back waiting to see who wins and who doesn't. And because, Porter, there's no guarantee that Spence will beat Porter because Porter is a fast, quick, aggressive fighter. He comes forward, he's not the harder puncher. I don't think he hits harder than Garcia, honestly. But I think he hits you hard enough to get his respect, and it's going to be a very good fight between him and Errol Spence, but Errol Spence is has been in there with someone like Garcia, like Porter. And if he beats Porter, there's no guarantee he'll beat Garcia. He might get beat by Garcia just because of the certain style, okay? So everyone's targeting Keith Thurman or whatever. Keith Thurman has always had a hard-on to fight someone on the elite level, okay? So, of course, he would go for that Manny Pacquiao fight. I've done a couple videos about him, calling out Manny Pacquiao, wanting to put hands on Manny Pacquiao. So if that fight happens, Keith Thurman won't really be concerned with any of those guys at all. Then you understand, Manny's not with Fox or PBC. That doesn't matter, right? So why would it matter now? You know what I'm saying? So it's like I see right through this. Keith Thurman's waiting everyone out. Errol Spence is getting cockier. Terence Crawford has just signed a contract to get his money, to make sure his money is intact. But those fights will happen. And in those contracts, it doesn't state you can't fight another fighter for another promotional company. That's just stupid. You know what I mean? But all these guys have to fight each other eventually. But I don't really like the idea of Keith Thurman getting together and buddying with Errol Spence now, him being number 2 and I'm being number 1, being, you know, that's what I don't like that idea, because, you know, all those guys are on this side of the street and talking about smoke and mirrors and all that. You know, it's just convenient at this point. You know, yeah, those fights will be easily made, but watch how it folds out. Again, if Manny Pacquiao wants to fight Keith Thurman, it would make a lot of sense, you know, because Manny holds the WBA regular. Keith Thurman holds the WBA super. Okay, that would make a lot of sense, and I would like to see that fight. You know, again, I do question Manny's age, because, you know, but Keith Thurman, you know, is coming off a long layoff himself, but he is a lot younger, so he can recuperate a lot faster. I think he has a lot more to prove, maybe or maybe not. We don't know how Keith Thurman will be, you know, but, you know, if Errol Spence has to be careful, because Errol Spence, you know, hasn't really done anything in the sport of boxing. So let's look at it like this. If Errol Spence gets stopped or gets beat by Sean Porter, how good will he be? You know what I mean? All that padded resume that he has, really, it doesn't really mean much. You know, people are going to forget all about Errol Spence. They're going to forget all about Errol Spence, just like they did Jeff Lacy back in the day. Okay? Remember Jeff Lacy? When Calzaghe shut him down, beat him every round, you know. But before that, Jeff Lacy was knocking guys out. They called him the baby Holyfield. I don't know if you guys remember that. You watch boxing like I did. But, you know, that's what he reminds me of. I'm not going to call him necessarily a hype job, but you can't call him something that he's not yet. You know, and Keith Thurman, you know, Keith Thurman's remarks about Terence Crawford, you got to get in the ring with all those guys. Sure, you've beat Sean Porter. You've beat Danny Garcia. You know, more props to you. That's when you were hungry. Let's see what you do when you come back to the sport of boxing, when there's new players in the game. The guys that you avoided are a lot more. They have a belt now. Let's see if you'll go after that like you went after those other two. Let's see. So you guys tell me what you think about this. Please subscribe. Please comment. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.